Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Dario here with another Options and Play video update. Every once in a while, I'll do a video talking about this idea of day trading options on headlines. And if you're in the VTF, I'm sure you've seen me talk about it and do it a lot because on a day-to-day basis, this is kind of like a focus for me um, for for like intraday, like short-term, like cash flow type trades, right? So in addition to like the technical moves and swing trades and earnings trades, I love like these day trades on headlines, right? And I feel like the name of the game is all about speed. Okay, so um, depending on what news service you use, I mean, you might get like faster or slower alerts or headlines. And what what I really like to say to people is that usually the way I approach it is like buy options first and then ask questions after. Okay, and that's really like the opposite of my trading style for just about every other type of trade. So for like swing trades or earnings trades, it's the opposite. I'm like ask questions first, then buy options. But for these day trades revolve around headlines, it's buy options first, then ask questions. Right. So positive headline, I'm looking at calls, negative headline, looking at puts, and then I try to figure out how important of a headline is it, how impactful, and what type of move it could possibly have, right? But it comes down to speed because what I like to do is try to get options where the spreads haven't blown out, the bid-ask spreads, because sometimes when news hits, so for like intraday on Intel, actually AMD was a bigger move, and so pull up the chart of AMD. So that it was actually an AMD headline which came out here, which sent the stock ripping higher, but it was actually a negative read through for Intel. So having missed the AMD move, I didn't want to chase it because the options got really bid up, spreads blew out a little bit. So I was looking at Intel as like a negative move, and the options hadn't blown out, right? So one of the main things for me is like I don't like when the bid ask spreads really widen, and that can happen often when a news announcement hits because they lift the offers, and then like options that maybe cost like 75 cents, there's a bid at 10 cents and there's an offer at $2, right? So you can't really get any size, you can't get good prices when the options are like that. So what I do is like I look for options where the bid ask spread hasn't blown out yet. All right, and then when I get those contracts, it comes down to speed, right? Because I like to sell some into like the volume, the initial volume surge, right? Because you get like the volume coming in, you get the prices pushed up, right? So if you can do that, then maybe you can like lock in some gains very very quickly. I'm talking about like seconds to maybe like a minute, and then you can start to see, okay, how impactful is this headline, right? So if you get like the initial volume, you have the initial volume which pushed it down a little bit. So if I go to like 1 minute, it's even better, right? So the initial volume pushed it down a little bit, right? And then over like the next 3 minutes, that's when like the actual stock started to move. So you got the initial volume surge, which was here. So these are 1 minutes. These are very fast, right? And then you had over the next 3 to 4 minutes, you had the actual stock drop. So you get initial volume, and then maybe the movement in your favor, right? So it's like two things. So it's speed, right? Then you're looking for a little bit of a move into the implied volatility surge or volume surge, and then after that, you're looking to see if the stock actually moves in the direction, right? So once the news starts to get more disseminated, looking for that to start getting priced into the stock. So whether it's dropping, in this case, an Intel, or rallying an AMD, right? Once it starts to cross more people's radar, then you might actually get that extended move, and you could maybe like sell some more off into that, right? Um, sometimes you can't get full size. Sometimes it's only partial. Sometimes you can get as all you want. Sometimes you can only get maybe like 1 to 2 contracts or very, very small because the spreads blow out and there's just no liquidity, right? So you never know how much you can get. So, every trade's a little bit different, but having rules, how you want to approach it is smart, right? And then for me, my stop is, and my rule of thumb is if the stock retraces back to where it was when the announcement came out, then that's my cue to exit. Okay, so for Intel, which it didn't do, but if Intel were to come all the way back and trade above 51.85, which is give or take where it was when the news came out, that's my cue to get out. Right, it's my cue to exit because then the headline crossed, the stock came all the way back, and it's trading out where it was pre-headline. So then for me, like, yes, maybe it moves later in the day, maybe it moves overnight, maybe it moves later in the week, but for the intraday trade, the day trade, it's over, right? That's where I'm getting out when it comes back to where it was pre-news announcement, All right. But just like different types of trades, like these are totally different than like swing trades and earnings trades. These are just like all about speed, right? But when it comes down to what it comes down to is like having like a game plan in place. Like how do you approach these, right? Because if it's speed, then you don't have a whole lot of time to be thinking, right? Reading, reacting, getting those limits out, right? Making sure like you're not going after like spreads with like crazy bid ask, going after options with crazy bid ask spreads. So it's just having rules, following the rules, and just waiting for the news to cross. All right. Cool. So I'm expecting another busy week. Got some earnings coming up. Things are moving around, even though the indices are maybe quieted down a little bit, but still a lot to do. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information about trading earnings with options or day trading options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options to play. Have a great night. Stay well, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.